The story begins with Miranda Gray, who works as a psychologist in a central prison. One day after finishing work, she was returning home with her husband. But suddenly an accident happened on the way, and she was forced to take another road. As she drove over a bridge, a shadow of a girl suddenly appeared in front of her. Miranda quickly turned the car and crashed into the side. Luckily, no one was killed, but seeing the darkness of the night and the bad weather, she grew concerned about that girl. When she went closer, she found the girl standing there silently, terrified. The next time Miranda regained consciousness, she found herself locked inside the very prison where she used to work. Just a few days earlier, she had been treating patients here, especially a girl named Chloe, who claimed that someone forced themselves on her at night. But everyone thought she was insane. Now Miranda herself had become both a prisoner and a patient. Miranda begged her former colleagues to let her meet her husband. But the answers she received shattered her. Her husband was dead, and the killer was none other than Miranda herself. Hearing this, she broke down completely since she had no memory of that night. Then she was sedated with an injection. When she woke up, the light in her room was flickering strangely. Suddenly, fog gathered on the mirror, and the words appeared, "Not alone." Miranda began to believe that someone else was in the room with her. Still, she tried to convince herself it was only an illusion. The next day, while she was showering, she saw a shadow behind her. Suddenly, everyone's face turned terrifying, and that same girl kept attacking her again and again. Later, the staff claimed that Miranda had injured herself in multiple places with a surgical blade. Miranda turned to a lawyer for help to prove her innocence. The lawyer told her she had only two choices: either confess to the truth or plead insanity and remain in prison. At that moment, her husband's close friend Ryan appeared, showing her photographs that proved Miranda was indeed her husband's killer. Meanwhile, when the bandage was removed from Miranda's wound, the words "not alone" had appeared. The same words were also found at the murder scene. Now the suspicion around her deepened even more. Unable to bear the truth, Miranda fainted, and at that very moment, the memories of that night slowly started to return to her mind. She kept wondering why she couldn't remember anything about that night, and whether that girl was real or just her imagination. Miranda goes to see her former boss, Phil. She tells him that she remembers being home when her husband was murdered, but she wasn't alone there. The strange words that kept appearing were pointing in the same direction. The only question was, who was that other person? Phil couldn't give her a clear answer. Just then, Miranda notices an old photograph, and upon asking, she finds out that the girl in the photo is Phil's daughter, Rachel. Miranda is stunned to hear this because she swears she saw Rachel on the bridge. But according to the movie, Rachel had already died 4 years ago. Miranda's last hope shattered. That night, strange events began again. Suddenly, footprints started appearing on the floor by themselves, leading straight to Miranda's room. The lock of the room opened on its own. She had only one option left: escape. Without raising suspicion, Miranda quietly took a screwdriver with her. She broke the window glass, unlocked the door, and secretly slipped into Phil's office. The computer turned on by itself, and Rachel's name appeared on the screen. Before Miranda could make sense of it, Rachel's shadow appeared on the CCTV monitor. Miranda then remembered how her patient, Chloe, often said that at night, an invisible presence tormented her. Everyone thought Chloe was insane at the time, but now Miranda was convinced Chloe was telling the truth. She immediately rushed toward Chloe's room. The lights in the room were flickering strangely. Miranda peeked inside, but just as she tried to open the door, a terrifying figure appeared out of nowhere. Screaming in fear, Miranda ran, but the staff in the hallway caught her. The next morning, Miranda herself apologized to Chloe. She admitted that she had never believed her, and because of that, Chloe had remained trapped there. The two reconciled, but Chloe warned her, "Now the devil will make you his next target." Miranda stayed lost in that thought all night. Suddenly, the lights began to flicker, as if someone was searching for her. On the monitor, she appeared alone, but she could clearly feel someone's presence with her. The security guards thought she was trying to harm herself and rushed toward her room. Miranda's room was a mess. Just then, a guard came in, but Miranda seized the opportunity, snatched his keys, and escaped. The guards chased after her, but eventually lost track. Running frantically, Miranda reached a tall iron fence and pulled off what looked like a real-life stunt. But the guards also caught up to her there. Under pressure, Miranda fell badly. She quickly got back up and ran straight into a swimming pool. The squad had already surrounded the place and could storm in at any moment. Miranda immediately dove into the water and stayed hidden underneath for nearly 10 minutes. Finally, when everyone left, she took a sigh of relief. But then, something shocking happened. One of the guards covered up her secret and even handed her the keys to his car. Miranda jumped in right away and sped off at full speed. Suddenly, she saw Rachel in the rearview mirror. Distracted, she lost control of the car. She tried to hit the brakes, but they had completely failed. The car raced ahead toward a crowded intersection. Somehow, when the car finally stopped, Miranda screamed and turned back. But there was no one there. She went back home. The moment she turned on the lights, memories from the past started pushing her toward the truth. As she climbed the stairs, she saw the events of that night unfolding again. She saw another version of herself slowly coming forward. Her husband Douglas was begging for mercy, but then she picked up an axe and struck him mercilessly. After it was all over, she stood in front of the mirror. It was clear from the scene that Douglas had been killed by her, but the truth was something else. In reality, it was Rachel's spirit that had taken control of Miranda's body. At that time, Miranda wasn't even conscious. Just then, a drop of blood fell onto a picture, even though Miranda herself hadn't been injured. That's when she began to realize that maybe Rachel was trying to lead her towards some hidden truth. The next morning, she drove to an old house. From the outside, it looked completely normal, but just as she was about to leave, her eyes caught sight of a basement door built into the ground. She was terrified, but gathering her courage to uncover the truth, she went down. As soon as she turned on the light inside, she was shocked. The place looked like a secret recording studio. There were several cameras and tapes stored there. When she played one of them, old recordings of victims began to appear on the screen. The moment Miranda saw her husband's shadow in the basement, loud footsteps echoed from above. The police had surrounded the entire area. But strangely, the expressions on the officers' faces shifted from stern to confused because they had stumbled upon another victim's clue. Outside, the media had already gathered. Even though Miranda had exposed a massive conspiracy, her husband's best friend still looked at her with suspicion. Meanwhile, Phil revealed that he too often had strange dreams where he saw his daughter Rachel burning. Only after taking his medication could he feel normal again. He refused to believe that there could be anything supernatural behind all of this. Miranda, however, was now convinced the case was much deeper. She immediately called her partner Pete and told him that the assaults on women in prison and her husband's murder were not connected but were separate cases. But Pete refused to believe her. In the evening, Miranda met her husband's friend Sheriff. Their very first meeting had been extremely tense. Sheriff had never given Rhea a chance to explain herself. Now that Miranda understood the truth, she laid out the entire incident in front of him. According to Miranda, this was more like a conspiracy between a master and his disciple. The real killer had a broken childhood. His father was never home, and he became overly dependent on his mother. Because of this, twisted desires grew inside him. Miranda clearly stated that the killer's mentality was sick and that he looked at women in a perverted way. Hearing all this, a strange silence spread across Sheriff's face. Miranda observed his behavior closely and noticed the same strange mark on his body that had been found in several other places. The truth of his crime was now revealed. To save himself, he quickly pulled out a syringe to knock Miranda unconscious. Just then, the lights began to flicker wildly, distracting Sheriff. Miranda seized the opportunity and escaped. Enraged, Sheriff began shooting, which caused gas to leak from a nearby cylinder. Things escalated so badly that only one of them could survive. Sheriff eventually found Miranda, and just as he was about to fire, a dark shadow suddenly passed by. He realized the figure standing in front of him wasn't Miranda, but Rachel. In anger, without thinking, he fired. But shockingly, the bullet passed straight through Rachel's body. As gas filled the room, flames suddenly engulfed everything. In that very moment, the shadow of the little girl standing there vanished forever. The truth was that this story was about an innocent child whose mysterious presence had been guiding Miranda toward the truth. Truth that exposed her husband's dark secret. In the film's first half, the words "not alone" appear. The audience assumes it points to the number of victims. But the real twist comes when Miranda escapes from prison, returns home, and sees her other self in the mirror. That's when it becomes clear that the real mystery is tied either to another person or to her own hidden face. As for the scene of the child burning, It is directly connected to the tattoo of the criminal who had tormented women in prison. It was a symbol not everyone could understand. The story then jumps 1 year ahead. Miranda and her companion Chloe are released from prison and start a new life. They have now become good friends. But even then, Miranda sometimes sees strange and terrifying visions before her eyes. It feels as if somewhere else, at another time, similar events could happen again. That's where this suspense thriller comes to an end. Let me know your thoughts. Also subscribe to this channel for more.